Okay. So anyway,
So
I ended up cheating and just printing off the list,
Okay.
which is alphabetical rather than
So we're
categorized.
recording right now, actually.
Okay. All right, let's call this meeting to order.
All right.
We'll get to your list.
Okay.
Do we have the minutes from the March 2nd meeting?
I emailed them out this afternoon at 2.
Okay, I
Do you
haven't
want me
seen
to go-
them.
Yeah, I haven't seen them yet.
So let's
you want-
postpone that till next meeting for approval.
I can also go quickly print them if people want.
We can wait till next meeting. Since there's only 2 of us or 3 of us present here. And adjustments to the agenda, we'll add in what you're talking about, the
Okay.
members for the spreading the flyer around. And there is no public input. So the first thing is the flyer. Now, what I handed out was the agenda, and then I gave you a little package that had the what I think is the final draft of the Waldeboro Parks and Recreation sites. And that is basically a 3-fold document that has Waldeboro Parks and Recreation sites, Quarry Hill Farm, Waldeboro Town Forest, Dutch Neck Marine Park, Waldeboro Town Landing, and the Waldeboro Pocket Parks.
Right.
And that's kind of what we want to get out to the public. We want to share with people and let them know that there are downtown recreation sites and
rest stops.
And rest stops, yes. And again, the pocket parks, there are all these nice little places you can go. I mean, I'm not sure how many people know that there is a fish ladder in Waldeboro,
Yeah.
but there is on Wall Street. So I think that's kind of exciting. So I shared with everyone this, what I consider the final document, and I'm going to ask Max if maybe we could print, say 100. I would just say 100. And then between a few of us, we can distribute them to some of the businesses around the area that have people going there. And I did ask permission from the land trust if I could put like 5 or 6 of them in the little box in their kiosk.
Right.
So we could at least get those out. What I included in my little package tonight was the MVLT Founders Preserve, because I'm not sure how many people realize that that there actually is another trail besides the Quarry Hill Trail. And the trail actually starts at Quarry Hill. It's off Depot Street. You go past the quarry up to where the blueberry fields are before it merges with the snowmobile trail. And it goes off toward, and again, this was Ted and Molia Dile that gave that property to the land trust. And there's a lovely little trail. And then I think the version I copied for you is missing the map key because I wanted to blow it up to be easier to read.
Right.
But the red trail is just a seasonally wet designation.
Okay.
The blue one is the Woods and Field Trail, and the rest of those dots are the Quarry Hill Trail.
Okay.
That merges with the snowmobile trail.
No, I've not been on this trail.
100 acres, over 100 acres.
How flat is it?
I've never been on it myself,
Okay.
but I think if you look, there is the geo maps.
Oh, yeah, I see.
It shows you there. It's a slight grade down because you go up the hill, and then there's where that other blue line, you're going up a hill right, not spot up there.
Oh, okay, yeah, if you go up to that spot, it's about a 50-foot climb.
And again, with Leslie's input too about the blueberry fields and the Earth Day, that could be a wonderful spot when we do the blueberry picking in the summertime. So I thought that we should definitely know about it. So I wanted to share these trail maps with you guys.
Very cool.
And then I printed out the river park that we got belongs to the Midcoast Conservancy. And they have a wonderful, nice little write-up on their kiosk that says this land is open to all. Please come and explore, fish, or just rest. And so I added that to my little write-up here. And it shows you where the river park entrance is behind the American Legion Hall. Shows you the trails. And again, Jim Derby mows those trails every summer.
Oh, cool.
He keeps it mowed.
Jim Derby does a lot around
He does a
town.
lot.
Yeah.
Yes, he does. And there's at least 3 of those carved benches I mentioned. One right along the water and then 2 in under the trees. And they're beautifully carved benches. They're just gorgeous.
Yeah, I've been down there a few times. It's very pretty.
It's a
What-
lovely space.
One of the things that's come up in recent discussion on the Elevate Waldoboro Facebook group concerning trails, and this sort of relates or is kind of an offshoot of the discussion about the 80 Gray Park proposal. But a lot of people were concerned about the usability of trails for older people. That things with a lot of elevation were a little bit intimidating.
Right.
And I was trying to point out things like, well, there's the town forest trail doesn't have very much up and down at all. That's relatively flat. I mean, it's a little hazardous trip wise, but
Yeah,
nothing-
but that's only because we need to approve it.
right, yeah. And someone else brought up this particular
Yeah,
river
This
park.
one, they had talked about making it ADA accessible some time ago,
Right,
but that requires that everything be leveled and it be almost like rock dust on the path. You can't just have gravel, you can't just, it has to be, there's certain specifications that it has to meet to meet that standard.
Right.
And there was interest in getting some kind of money to help them support that, but they hadn't get around to it. Then the merger happened.
right.
So it's a great potential site. It's
And
a
this-
really good potential.
And this was established well before like the current town manager arrived. That
Oh,
was
yes.
like a couple of town managers ago.
Yeah, this is a number of managers ago.
Well, the objection to this was the entrance, because the rest of it is pretty flat and closely mown
Mhm.
closely mowed, but that was the concern, was the entrance.
But we can bring that up to the Midcoast Conservancy, but it belongs to them, so it's up to them to do whatever they wish to do, and if they wish to ask for help. But I'd like to point out to you, the
Yeah.
Neil Lash Trail, the Neil Lash Nature Trail is ADA compliant, 100%.
Okay.
It's right at the high school.
Oh,
It's right behind the soccer fields in high school.
Leslie, did you have any thoughts?
Oh, I was wondering if you could email me the brochure. I haven't, because I didn't see that final, where I'm not there, I can't see the final one.
Right.
The Madomic Valley Land Trust, didn't that merge with the Midcoast Conservancy?
Yes, it did.
Okay, so that the MVLT trail Midcoast Conservancy maintains?
Yes.
Okay,
They still call it the MVLT Founders Trail. That's what the brochure says, but it belongs to the Midcoast Conservancy.
okay.
I think
And then the, still to be finished, the trail around the quarry isn't a complete trail. You
Right.
can't go around it right now the way it is.
Mhm. Yeah, I realize a lot of these need work, but I wanted to point out to people that they exist. And then it's up to us in the next month and a half to try to get them in shape enough so that they're reasonably available to the average walking or hiking person.
the Gould Trail is fairly flat too, isn't it?
No,
No?
No,
No,
it's very steep. It goes
Yeah.
down brooks.
Especially once you
There's
get closer to
trees
Route
down.
1.
All right, all right.
It's definitely not, that one isn't even close to something that you could make into ADX.
Yeah.
This one, you could.
Okay.
The Midcoast one, you could.
Okay.
But, so I still push them toward the Neil Lash Nature Trail because that is absolutely ADA compliant. And it's a lovely place to walk.
Well, the other concern too was, and this goes back to the discussion about 80 Gray is the central location in the village. You know, that's something that people don't have to drive to, that they could walk to.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's,
Now, Leslie, I thought I did in my last email, when I sent the agenda out, I did include the parks flyer.
oh, let me go back. Let me just look at it while I've got one here.
I didn't change it much from that draft you saw. I improved the pictures to some degree, and I changed some of the wording to be a little bit more descriptive of the areas and better directions.
Okay.
The last one you saw too, I gave the wrong directions to Dutch Neck. I said right when I should have said left. So I corrected that.
Okay.
But it's not that much different than what you had seen. But I'd love to get it out there. I know that there are things like the Marine Park, that isn't finished yet. Oh, and by the way, I brought a box, unfortunately, Will and Leslie not being here, I'll just have to bring it whenever we do it, but this box contains 4 cans of blue paint, marking paint, a can of black paint, and one of gray, so that we could eradicate the marks that we don't want there.
Good.
Oh, great.
So I'll get the paint, and when we start setting some dates as to when we're gonna go out and do some of that work at Dutch Neck specifically needs the markings. And the town forest is gonna require rerouting and ribbons before we actually mark it with paint.
Yeah, and it's been really wet there, so until it dries out a little bit, it's probably best to just hold off on that one.
Yeah.
I don't want to do any damage with the wetlands.
I agree. And Dutch Neck might be drier.
Yeah, I have to drive down. I haven't been down since we did the cleanup.
Mhm.
I'll make a note.
Okay, so Max, if you could make note of printing 100 of these. Let us know when they're ready, and then between Steve and I and Leslie and Will, we can stop in and pick up some of them, and then we can talk about, Steve Warren put together a list from the WBA.
I didn't put it together. I looked it up and printed it out.
Yeah. I'm actually the treasurer from the WBA, so if you ever want a list of current members.
Well, the reason that I did this is because, you know, just thinking off the top of my head, I would not have come up with all of these places, and not necessarily all of them would be appropriate for a
Right.
flyer, but
It's a good thing to think about.
yeah, I mean, places like, I mean, you know, they're the businesses that we're personally familiar with, but it also occurred to me that real estate offices might be a great place, and there's the new one across from Moody's.
Yep.
Might be
Yep.
great places for these.
And there's a bed and breakfast. on
Yeah,
the list.
bed and breakfasts, places where people would stay.
Mhm.
In addition to, you know, the village businesses and places like the Historical Society and the library
And even the pharmacy.
and pharmacy, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
places, when you look at the list, you go, oh, well, that would be suitable. Well, maybe not the funeral home, okay?
Yeah, well, that's true, but the congregational church.
Why not, right?
So what I was thinking is that, Leslie, I copied this into Word and saved it so that I can email this to you, but at some point,
Okay.
we might want to discuss how to divvy these up, like who's going to cover what, so that we're not.
Yeah, we'd want to take a list and actually come up with the ones that we think are viable for the
Right,
measures
so-
first, then divvy up the list.
Yeah,
Okay.
between now and
Mhm.
And the next meeting, we should all take a look at the list and kind of X out the ones that we don't think are worth it, and then, you know, highlight the ones that we think are good places, and then figure out who's gonna do which part of the list,
Mhm.
you know.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Sound good? Okay.
Yeah.
Mostly, I'd like to get the brochure out by late this month. Again, we won't have a chance to have cleaned up all the trails, but they'll be reasonably passable, mostly.
Well, I'd love to coincide it with the week of posting for Earth Day. So I had a day set aside that Friday to talk about the pocket parks, and maybe that's the day to post the brochure again online and discuss it and really, really push it.
Okay, the 16th of April? The Friday?
No, the week after. So the whole Earth Day, I'm just pulling up my calendar. So on the 18th is when on social media, I'm going to talk about how we'll be discussing and highlighting the parks throughout the week to clean up. So it would be the 23rd was that Friday. That would be a good day because then I've highlighted each property to repost the brochure again.
Okay. Okay,
It's Friday, the 23rd, you said?
23rd, yep.
23rd.
Okay. Do we want to set, so I think that's it for the flyer for now. So now we go into the Dutch Neck Marine Park Trail. And I'd like to schedule some days for doing that trail so we can have at least that one done before the flyer comes out. And I know the 10th, this Saturday, is the first of the cleanup days. that the Shellfish Committee has organized. So, and I'm sorry Will's not feeling well because he's a strong participant in helping to clear trails here. But Leslie, are you available this coming weekend at all?
This weekend, I actually have to work. We're doing a big house clean out, so I won't be available.
Okay.
So the 17th, 18th, I should be available either day. And then for the cleanup days, I know you mentioned that you wanted each of us to be available on one for the Shellfish Committee. And
Right.
I'm available. I could do the April 25th, the Sunday, April 25th one.
Okay. Okay, well, now that it's later in the day too, again, you're pretty busy, Leslie, but I kind of want you or Will to go with me because I'm not sure where the trail was that you found and continued on.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, I don't know his schedule as well as mine. I know that Sundays and Mondays he's off, so he has a lot more flexibility on those days. And with all his other boards and committees, I don't know what his schedule is after work.
Right.
So maybe we can email and see what would also work for him.
Okay. Because I'd love to get it done. Well, that'll give us time before the flyer release, but I definitely want to at least take a quick look at that. And if we could mark where the trail goes and where we don't want it to go, we could clean things up even more at a later time.
Right.
Sure.
Okay, I'll email around for a date.
Okay.
Okay, so the first of the shellfish cleanup days is this coming Saturday?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Do we have a volunteer for that or?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, I can get, Will is probably closer, more in close touch with that program than the rest of us. I can just contact Will.
Mm-hmm.
I know he won't, I don't think he'll be there. He works Saturdays at the transfer station, so I don't think he'll be present at that one.
Right,
and again, I have to
direct me where to go and who to talk to and
right.
show up.
It's all in the email to, and there's a press release that should be in the paper this Thursday
Oh, okay.
that basically says meet at the town landing. Just like the last cleanup. Everybody meets at the town landing. It's at the hours are stated right here.
Okay.
9:30 this Saturday.
1:30.
And to 1:30, and you meet at the town landing, get a garbage bag from them, and then go up, tell them where you're going, and they may have a list of places to go, and they'll check you off.
Okay.
So if you want to do this Saturday.
Yeah, I can try this Saturday.
Okay,
Should be in
Steve.
shape to do that.
And Sunday, May 23rd, I could probably handle that. Let me just check my calendar. I want to lift my finger to turn the page, and I can't do it.
Mm.
Yeah, May 23rd is a Sunday. Yeah, I could do the Sunday of Memorial Day. Hopefully the lighthouse won't open up. I might be better with June 5th.
Well, I think, yeah, because I think William's planning on being present on the Sundays. So if June 5th is easier for you, we could just say the
Yeah.
Sunday is his date.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, then we'll kind of leave it that, and I'll add this in the email to all of you when I follow up that Saturday, April 10th will be Steve. Leslie will be April 25th. Will be May 23rd, and I'll be June 5th.
Great.
So we'll throw that out there, and if anybody wants to say, no, this won't work for me, that's fine.
Okay.
All right. So the Earth Day plans, you basically talked a little about them. Let us know more. Are you planning walks or?
No, the whole concept was for it to be virtual with COVID. So that paperwork I handed out last weekend is to announce that we're encouraging families, groups, people that are in their own bubbles to go out together and clean. And each day on our social media, we'll be highlighting different parks so they can get an idea of all the places they can go. And we'd agreed collectively that we should do, the week-long discussion. So it gives people time to go out. And then hopefully it will drum some attention. So by the end of the week, when we roll out the brochure and see if there's any interest in volunteering, I don't know, it would be nice to get somebody.
That would be wonderful. Yeah, I think we should do an engaged announcement where we actually ask for people to join the Conservation Commission and join our volunteer efforts.
Yeah. So if you just, I'm sorry, I don't have the paperwork, but the stuff I handed out last week, at the very end of the week, it was a call to action day of if you're interested in volunteering, and I can add if you're interested in becoming a member of the Conservation Commission too, and the link to fill out.
Mm-hmm. If you could resend that to me, and since you like Google Docs, you need to send it to waldeborofarmersmarket@gmail.com so I can open it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I bring up the garden club because the garden club has a lot of tasks that need doing that aren't particularly strenuous.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, somebody can spend an hour or two doing on a nice day and really help us out a lot. So for people that aren't quite as able-bodied, not that we don't need able-bodied people to
Mm-hmm.
sweep up sand and
Yep.
and shovel mulch and wood chips, but you know there are things that can be done.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, people don't want to go,
Mm-hmm.
you know, into Dutch Neck or George Gould and up and down hills
Mm-hmm.
on trails.
Yeah, and since we're promoting pocket parks, including that in our announcement and promotions that there are other chores that can be done.
Right.
Maybe we can work with you to get some, a list of areas and places. And as we do the social media highlighting each one of these places to go, we could also highlight some of the things that could be done while they're there to be productive.
I will get on those detailed lists soon.
You're good at lists, Steve.
Yeah, I know.
Good at it.
Oh, speaking of which, do we have any site-by-site lists for what needs to be done to the trails that are, you know, broken down into individual tasks?
No, just the kinds of things that we've done in our agendas, which are real overview
Right.
kind of stuff. But, and I think for us marking the trails with blue paint and for us rerouting the trail at the town forest, that really has to be our committee.
Right.
It's not like we can't
Yeah.
just ask another volunteer to jump in when they don't know what's going on.
Right.
Yeah. So in the detail I put on that paperwork, which I'll reshare to kind of refresh everybody, I did kind of note the little things that each area could use help with that. So like at the Waldeboro Town Forest, for instance, I highlighted that the parking lot is often full of litter and pollution. So to bring a bag for that, the trail typically it stays rather clean. And beyond that, I'd hate to encourage them to do any like full trail cleanup effort when we're about to reroute it. So if they could just focus on the, you know, anyone who goes do the parking lot and the tree line there is where I end up cleaning up when I go. And then Quarry Hill, I highlighted that it's regularly polluted with litter because it's always got something down there. So it just overall could use help there. And then let's see, the Dutch Neck Marine Park, I don't have anything particular to highlight in terms of what they could do to help clean up there. Trailhead and parking lot would appreciate some TLC. No, I did put something. Okay.
Well, that's reasonable. That's
Could
good.
we use more wood chips anywhere?
No, I think right now we're all set because there's only 2 picnic tables there. So we're really not, I know Larry was talking about putting wood chips on the trail itself, but this is a nature trail. I don't think it's not like there's roots sticking up or anything dangerous that you're trying to cover.
Right.
And we're still in the early stage of really manicuring that. It needs a lot more manicuring.
Yeah. Well, I think what Larry and I had discussed about wood chips in that regard was mostly the, you know, like a couple of yards in or a few yards into the start of the trail so that, you know, people can go, that must be it, and then follow it from there as more of a nature trail. But just kind of the red carpet treatment.
Yeah, just leading them in. We can talk about that later. I don't think that's something that we have to make a priority at this point in time.
No, I'm not saying it's priority, but it's one of those tasks that
Could be added to our list.
could be something that somebody could do, you know, and.
Well, you'd have to have the wood chips there,
Well,
ask
yeah,
them to
that's
spread it
easy.
around.
That's easy.
So, I think we can put that on our list of things that would be desirable.
Okay.
Yeah. the virtual Earth Day was sort of just a gentle nudge to raise awareness of all of the parks and to see who is interested in helping. And so Friday I'll post the brochure, and if anyone submitted pictures or tagged us in anything that they've cleaned up, I'll share it that day too. And then Saturday is the call to action day about if they've enjoyed it, we'd love to have them join us. And I had the planning at waldeboro.com if you're interested in collaborating with us on some hands-on volunteer work, because then I think we can start the conversation there. So if they email us with interest, we can talk to them about what their capabilities are, what they're interested in doing, and go from there.
Okay.
Sounds
Alright.
like a very wise plan.
And I think once I get more of your information, the specifics, I'd put together a press release. The press release will have to go to the papers by the 12th to get into the paper by the 14th. So once I have your information, I can put something together, have you edit it and approve of it and make sure we're saying just enough. But for those people that aren't frequent Facebook users, but are still able and capable and interested in volunteering, I'd like to get the news out that way too.
Okay.
The more places you get it, then people say, oh, I didn't know you were doing that. It's like, how could you not know?
Sure. Yeah, I guess I'll reshare it. I thought I had shared all the information last month, and all I needed to do to that was just update pictures. So I'll reshare it as a refresher. And if there's any questions, I can help with that.
Yeah, I just didn't get it because I can't open things under my Roadrunner account. Won't let me open.
Oh no, I know. I printed it off and I handed it out last meeting. But
No.
I'll reshare it on the Google
Yeah.
Doc.
Okay. Oh yes, I do have it.
I
Oh
have it in
yes.
a different folder.
I just haven't opened the folders to see all the way through it. Thank you. But yeah, then I have it electronically too.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Well, that sounds exciting. That'll be good. That'll be a good
Yeah.
way to help people understand who we are. That we are.
And I'm hoping that it'll get a little greener so I can have some nicer pictures to post. Right now, everything's so brown and wet, but
It is.
Yeah.
That
fingers
is true.
A few more nice days, we might actually have some tulip bulbs blooming in some of the areas the garden club's been doing too.
oh, nice.
Okay,
They're
so where we talked about the Dutch Neck Marine Park, scheduling something by email to find out what dates will work for us. I think that's the same thing we could do for the Town Forest Trail. Schedule a few days to reroute the trail, and then if we can improve on the boardwalks. Now that Will has let us know that the town has budgeted at least $1,000 for us, if we need to buy wood to do boardwalk replacement and things of that nature, we'll be able to do that. So.
Yeah.
Okay, and then for my next item, I had the George Gold Trail, and definitely a lot of trail work has to be done there. There's been a lot of blowdowns and things like that. And I know the Mid-Coast Conservancy Trail Crew is going to start some of their work tomorrow. They're
Oh,
starting.
really? Cool.
They're a Wednesday. They meet Wednesdays at 9 a.m. So it's strictly any projects we can give to them. If one of us could be there for that, I know Will won't be able to. I know Leslie. The working people can't really go.
Okay. Well,
No.
They can at least be there to supervise.
right, they're gonna be there at 9 tomorrow then?
No. I have not scheduled anything with them.
Oh,
They're doing their first of their trail work.
I got it.
Starting tomorrow.
Okay.
But I will contact them, as right now, that also is much too wet, the trail to be able to, we can't do anything on it now. It's way too wet.
Good to know.
Mm.
So I won't run over there with my battery powered sawzall to try
So,
to limit. Okay.
but the thing, what I am saying is that we will contact them and get help from them because they're very, they do want to work with different groups, different, organizations. And they have a very organized trail crew, and they're willing to help us out. So I'd say when we get to the point that we've got 80 Gray for the George Gold Trail on the schedule, that we will contact them ahead of time and see if they'll help us out.
That would be good to get involved with that anyway, because if they're like an experienced trail crew, they probably have a system or a way of doing things that we might be able to get some ideas from to make what we do more efficient or productive.
They do. All right, So that's put on the, we'll table that item. And then that finishes up the old business, and now on to the new business. The Adopt a Park program, this is all going to be, it'll be what comes out of the Earth Day program, the virtual Earth Day. And that's all a lead up to eventually what will become the Adopt a Park program. I keep throwing it in there because eventually it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've been trying to do what I can on social media discussion groups to say, we've got a volunteer program that the Conservation Commission is working on. And of course, a lot of people go, the what?
I know.
You know, they don't even know about us, so.
Yeah, so again, that virtual Earth Day will help to give them a little bit of awareness that the Conservation Commission exists.
Right.
And what we do. And the other thing, now I think part of leading to Earth Day and beyond to the Conservation Commission is what Justin Hills and the Shellfish group are doing. The fact that they're doing town-wide cleanup days.
Right.
And we've got those scheduled, and now we have designated each of us to join them at least for one of the days. And I think that's exciting. I'm hoping they'll have a big turnout. I've been sharing their notification on the Farmers Market, Madomic Arts, the Conservation Commission. You know, I haven't shared it on the Waldeboro Business Association yet, but I will.
Okay.
We shared, well, he shared on the Enhance Waldeboro site. So I mean, and we'll put it out again and again as these dates come up, just before the dates, just as a reminder to let people know.
Yeah, and it would be great if each of us took pictures on our days and posted them on our page. You know.
Great idea.
Yeah.
I'll try to remember to charge reason my camera.
Yeah.
Put a little ring around your fingers.
Yeah, yeah, I'd probably wake up Saturday morning and go, what's this for?
Yeah, pictures are great. They speak a lot, and it gives us something else to post on our page to keep it up to date, to keep it interesting, which is always good. And when you show the amount of trash you picked up and how nice the place was that you were at, I think that speaks volumes. So So also, I worked with Justin over email this weekend and put out a press release. So it should be in this Thursday's paper. Lincoln County News, the Free Press, Penn Bay Pilot, Village Soup,
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Wow,
and the Coastal Journal.
excellent.
That's
So
great.
So we sent out, basically I put a couple sentences in front of the whole thing Justin wrote. He did a wonderful job with the statement that he did about the cleanup days. And I just said something to the effect of, do you have a favorite place in Waldeboro? Have you seen trash on the side of the road now that snow has melted? Just a lead in to then we have cleanup days, keep Waldeboro beautiful.
So that's going to be in the paper this week?
Yes.
Okay, I'll look for that.
Okay. And I wanted to ask also, Max, if you could add this flyer to the town website.
Yep, I think you mentioned that a bit earlier. I think I'll talk to Julie about it first, just to make sure it's fine.
Right.
What I might do, if you have a PDF or a Word document, whatever can be edited, for the
logo, you've got a new logo.
we have a new
I know,
logo,
this is the old one.
so we'd probably be putting that one on there.
I gave you a PDF called the Park Flyer.
Is it all right? We just need it.
It's
Okay, yeah, I'll give it to Tanya and Julie, make sure they're fine with it, and then they'll just make the edit.
yeah, edit whatever, because I know that's the old, what I used to use for Waldeboro Day. Logo.
Yeah, I understand.
And I know you've got a new one now. So, and if you see anything else that needs editing, I think I've been over it a few times with a few other people. So I think we caught all the general things that could be improved.
I think the only thing is just route throughout the thing is a bit, is just something consistent, and that's just me being nitpicky. Like I see,
So what would you do, RTE?
well, I just see like Route
Where,
1
yeah.
spelled out for Quarry Hill. I see
Yeah.
RTE 220, and then
Oh, make it consistent.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, for me personally, I'm a capital R, lowercase t, period, and then the number.
if you want to make that change, I'd be
Okay.
perfectly happy with that. I think sometimes I was just trying to fit something on the same line, so I couldn't put the whole.
Oh no, I'm the same way.
Yeah, make it consistent. Go for it.
All right, so after brief little edits, then I'll submit something.
Sounds weird. Perfect.
All right.
That would be good for the website. And now the town website, has the town website posted the cleanup days, or
I imagine they have. If
I haven't looked at it lately. I'll look
if
at
they
it.
have, it would be on the news section, but I'll check tomorrow and make sure that.
Because I'm sure they probably put it there. I haven't really looked at the website since. And then is there anything else, Leslie, that you want to go over that I haven't covered yet?
I think that's it. I've just been focused on I'm excited about the Earth Day
I
to
am
come
too.
up
I am
and
too.
finally really roll that out. I'll have to show it to you maybe next meeting. I have this really neat plant identification app on my phone that I actually pay for. But when you take a picture of a plant, then you can have an option to make like a printable fly. It's a neat little template, and I want to use it to identify different things on the different trails and post it on social media throughout the summer. So next meeting, hopefully something will be up and I can kind of give you an example of what that looks like.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Out soon, shouldn't they? Like a couple of weeks.
The lady slippers,
Yeah.
They should be.
and then comes a trillium, and then comes
Yeah, there you go.
all the lovely flowers. Well, I think that's wonderful. That'd be exciting.
Yeah. Just another way to highlight the different flora and fauna on the trails.
Mhm. I think that would be fun. And I think too, we might use resources like we might, again, through Facebook or through email, I could send things to Joan Ray or to Sarah Gladu or some of the experts in the land trust that know a great deal about some of the flora and fauna in the area. And they might be able to give us more background.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
that would be fun. So yeah, we could extend what you do into maybe a more educational piece too, which would be nice.
I love that. I really would love to get volunteers I know I've said it, but to do some birding on the trails, guided, and it's probably post-COVID too, when people feel more comfortable doing these things. But I think there's a lot of potential there.
After we all get vaccinated, we'll be a lot better.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
And the last thing I wanted, Max, if it's possible, if you could share the information about the University of Maine in Orono has been doing some planning work in town. And this may be a long-term, something, we may not see effects of this for a long term, but it's kind of exciting.
Right. So last year, I was approached by the University of Maine in Orono, and they asked for some projects, some civil engineering projects for their engineering department, because a lot of senior students are going to graduate. So this was sort of their capstone project to really end out the year for them. So I was approached and asked, does Waldeboro have any projects last August? And I said, yes.
Yes, we do.
Come on down.
So I listed all the projects and said which ones are acceptable, and they said, can we combine them and do them all? And I said, yes, absolutely. And we don't have to pay for this. Hopefully they're not hearing this. And so it was broken into three primary chunks. The first was, I don't really have a good category for it. I just call it the general public infrastructure category. Thanks to the wondrous grace of Betsy Worcester, they're looking at the Worcester parking that's right behind Friendship Street to see ways of making it more efficient, making it improving the view of Madomic River. I remember taking them there, and there was a lot of stuff
A lot
blocking.
of Japanese knotweed that grow up and
Yes.
just
Yeah.
interfere with the view.
I was just talking about that on social media.
What's that great balance they can make from their perspective of getting the most parking spaces they can, while also really making it a nice parking space to park? Like
That would be
not-
awesome,
when are
because
they
it's such a
gonna-
lovely location.
When are they gonna review that, or have they already? Or,
when have the students done that?
Yeah.
I was going to get to that after
okay,
explaining them
all
all. Obviously, it is private property, and I've told that to Betsy. I've told that to anyone who's have a stake in that it is still private, and just because the students are doing this doesn't mean the town is taking ownership. This is just saying if whoever wants to own it wants to improve it, these plans will exist.
Mhm.
And it's just more of an educational benefit to the students.
Which is great.
So they're doing that, as well as the culvert pipe that's down on not Dutch Neck Marine Park, Duck Puddle the area that's connecting it to Nobleboro,
Mhm.
just because that area constantly floods during the spring. So they're looking at how it's possible to simply take it out of the flood zone so that it's not flooding every spring.
So it's like a culvert improvement type thing, or?
Kind of. From what Kyle Sanderson, who's the EMA director, told me, it used to be a bridge,
Mhm.
but then Maine Department of Transportation in 2005, I think, decided to turn it into a culvert instead. But the culvert's just not big enough, so
Yeah, it floods.
it just floods. So the students are looking at that and seeing what can be done to get it out. It's a more straightforward item over there, how to get it out of the flood zone. So that's group one. Group two is the intersection gang. They're looking at the Route 1 West Main Street at the top of the hill here, or the entrance to the town forest. And I've just told them, how do you get more people to come down West Main Street? That's something I've been hearing a lot. And also try not to, if it has to be like a straight shot to West Main Street,
Mhm.
how can we not lose the parking to the town forest?
Ah,
Because I know that's the biggest challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And their recommendations may be more just improving the signage or the turn lanes, because ironically, while we were there was almost someone who was pulling out of West Main Street who almost got T-boned.
Mhm.
So they got a nice experience from that. So they're looking at that.
It's like, this is what we want your help with.
They're looking at Kaler's Corner as well,
Mhm.
primarily because when you're turning, you don't really see the people coming from the West Main Route 1 intersection.
Right.
They're looking at that, and they're also looking at Old Augusta Road and Washington. Because if you're driving, again, if you're coming on Old Augusta Road, you don't see anyone coming from Washington, I'm sorry.
Yeah, watch.
So that's the intersection gang. And last is the trail crowd,
The loop trail.
the loop. So just looking at the pocket park, what they're,
Take a look at the pocket parks now.
yes, their project starts at the rest area,
Mhm.
and they are looking at creating a footbridge, something that could handle either two people walking at once or a bicycle. And that will connect. And again, Grace, and thanks to the private property owners who have given me permission so that we could have the students walk there. And they've been told as well that this doesn't mean we're creating anything just yet. This is just if they change their mind in the future. So the footbridge would go where there used to be a bridge back in the 1920s.
Mhm.
And then obviously it would connect to Elm Street and then keep walking along there. And I got to say, these kids came here, these seniors came here, and they saw the fish ladder and we're wondering, I thought why aren't we doing this? This is a project we should want to work on right now, because they absolutely wanted to work on a river walk right there.
Mhm.
And
It's exciting when you see it.
it was very great. But anyways,
And people don't realize we have a natural stone fish ladder in downtown Waldeboro.
so just finishing it, that would go all the way to Jefferson. And I did show them part of the Gould Trail from that little entrance point. But there's the footbridge and then the culvert that's right here on Route 1.
Mhm.
I inserted my own little pet project that I'd be interested in, of people being able to walk through that culvert
Mhm.
so that they
Under Route 1, cross it.
exactly, because when I was always envisioning this town-wide trail, the thing I always looked at was how do you cross Route 1 and not be Wiscasset? And so I wanted to do that.
And
That's a
actually,
neat idea.
in Damascata, there's actually used to be a sheep crossing,
Hmm.
and it goes under Route 1, and it's a trail that they have right along the shoreline. And you actually, it's part of the trail now as you cross through it, and was originally put there as a sheep crossing to get the sheep across Route 1, the other side. And it takes you to the Shellfish Middens. It's a trail that goes along the across from the Lincoln County News, as a matter of fact, and down to across that river and under that culvert, and you actually walk through the culvert. So that's not an unusual thing in this area.
Well, the last part is creating a sidewalk on Route 1. This was something John Bagel's always wanted to
Oh,
see.
yeah.
So right now, I think the sidewalk ends around Belagia's. That would just be extended all the way up to the intersection right at Moody's. And then obviously a crosswalk so people can go to Moody's.
Mhm.
And that includes a way of seeing how you could do a sidewalk where that culvert is at, actually. So they've been told, look at whatever option you want. It would be great if you had it a way so people could transition onto the Gould Trail, actually.
Mhm.
So, and that's why I sent an email to Karen, actually, asking, they're looking at these 3 different types of materials for that type of entrance. I think they said like natural. I can't remember the other 2.
And
What
sort of a natural mossy kind of a thing,
one was natural mossy, one was a really developed look, and there was one that was a nice little middle ground. It was
the
like,
gravel.
yeah, basic gravel. I think we chose the gravel,
We did.
which in hindsight is a good option. And so they're just looking at that for that little bit at the bridge,
Mhm.
and then the rest would be sidewalks.
At any point in this, did the idea of, and I think this was a John Daigle idea from a couple, 3 years ago. Apparently he wanted to extend a sidewalk from the VFW around the corner and past the rest area to some sort of a crosswalk to Hannaford.
Yeah, we had talked about a sidewalk with Hannaford with the last town manager.
Okay,
And that was when the DOT was down here doing some road work. They were discussing it, but it never happened.
okay, so that was a DOT thing more than a John Daigle thing.
Well, it was DOT engineered, but we as a town were gonna follow through on it, and it didn't happen.
Okay. Good to know.
To answer your question, no, I didn't have anything on that.
Okay, because that had come up, it might be as much as 4 years ago now. And that was about the time that we, as a garden club, were starting to look at what improvements we could make at the rest area to make things more attractive. And, one of the things that we were kind of waiting on was to see what would happen with that. Because
And it would be kind of nice, because many times I've been at the rest area watching ladies with strollers going on that bumpy road and that almost non-existent shoulder, trying to get to Hannaford's. And it's,
Yeah.
kind of, that would be a nice thing. But the studies that these students are doing, they're going to give a copy of these studies to us so that we'll know the work involved.
Yep,
And we might be able to use them someday in a grant proposal or something of that sort.
they're doing their presentations this April. They've finished up everything. They've dotted their I's, they've crossed their T's. They're doing the presentations to their teachers and professors, I think the end of this month. And I asked, and yes, they're going to give us a copy. And I've invited them to come to the select board if they ever want to make a presentation. But I can certainly just relay the information, and that's just as fine. And yes, it wouldn't be something that immediately goes into the grant.
Mhm.
What we would do is it would be our first guess at what to do. And then when we are going to the more serious grant proposals, because what I would like to do with a lot of these areas that have been looked at is incorporate into this big economic development administration grant that I've always wanted to do. And I'm probably going to talk with the EDA about tonight, or EDC tonight. And so this is a few of those items that we can include in there. We would need an engineer to finalize and make sure the numbers are correct, like Gartley and Dorsky or Wright Pierce. But this gives us an idea of what the cost could be.
That's exciting. I've been wanting that street forever.
that would be so
Wouldn't
nice.
it'd make that rest area a real destination?
Well,
Because you can walk from the rest area to the fish ladder
and that folds right in with the garden club plan to clean up around the old pump
Mhm.
shack there.
and you could go all the way around to the river park, the Wilkesboro Village River Park. It
Yep.
would just be such a nice loop.
Now, for additional context, what I did tell these students was we want you to give us the idea of, give us, when they were asking what material, what do you want to do? I pretty much told them, I'm good with whatever. I'm not the best one to ask.
Mhm.
I want you, as people who have probably never been to Waldoboro before, what would stand out for you? What would make you interested in what is being built? So I pretty much told these students, go free range. Let's, it's your projects. Let's see where your talent is. So,
Exciting.
so
Wonderful.
I'm expecting some backlash if it looks very bad.
Gotcha.
Well, I mean, the least we're gonna get out of it is fresh sets of eyes looking at
Right.
what the constraints are,
Mhm.
and what some of the practical solutions may be,
Mhm.
which is,
That's
and
good.
we're getting that for free. I mean,
Pretty good. Yeah, I'd like to ask Max if you could give us some
copies from
information,
Absolutely.
once their presentation is done, if you could share with us, the gist of it, to summarize it.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'd love to
That
hear
would
more
be
about it.
really
And,
exciting.
and if there's anything we could do to help do little bits that might, need to happen before any of the projects happen. There may be little bits of things that we can do in just making our pocket parks a little bit more,
Yeah.
attractive. And,
Yeah, are they coming back
safe.
for more walkarounds, reviews, or?
No, they did their
That was
walk.
it?
They did their walk. They did one walk around, I think, back in August.
Oh, okay.
No, not August. September. All three groups, they came here around the same 2-day period. They took their pictures, they took their measurements, they did everything within 1 day. And I
Awesome.
was amazed by that. And they said,
We can only get that much done in a day.
That sounds like a month's worth of energy for me. Wow.
well, and I said, what happens if the measurements are right? What if you need to come back here? They said, well, then we'll come back here. It's not a problem. Yeah, that big walk around we did was just more so they can get the general numbers and everything.
It's exciting. We'd love to hear more about it. I think it's exciting.
Well, if they do come back, let me know. I'd love to walk with them and listen to them.
So we'd like to do different little things in our future, like, weed whack and clean up the Mill Street or the Elm Street end of the areas there. And there's little things we can do that will just make that more attractive in general. And then if other things develop in the future, it's our first step toward something happening.
Yeah, the Elm Street thing it's actually pretty straightforward, and that is cut down everything that's legal to cut, preserve,
Brush. It's mostly brush.
preserve the shape. Well, there's wild rose in there too, which means, getting down into the dirt,
Maybe.
playing with the roots. But as John Daigle pointed out, that shack is easily removed, and there's a cement slab,
Which would be
Which-
perfect for a picnic table.
and I don't know if this would work, but it might be possible to preserve the frame of the shack and the roof, take down the walls.
Make it like a rain shelter and everything.
Right, it has
We were
have a
hoping
rain
something like that
shelter
could be
on a
done.
slab with a picnic table, and there wouldn't have to be elaborate plantings around it, but just something to make it stand out as something pretty, and attractive.
Yeah.
And then,
And still have enough place for a car or two to park.
there's plenty of place there, just right now, it's kind of
Yeah.
a mud
It could
pit.
be, it could be leveled out a
So,
little bit.
yeah, filled up with gravel like out back.
Mhm.
And that's pretty much,
Well, that's-
suddenly it's a rest stop,
Well,
Yeah, and a pleasant place to stop.
for
well,
walkers or, bikers or.
well, if they found us as a good partner and they're looking for more projects, then hopefully we
Do
can
you
do
know
more.
why they picked us? Did they just contact you out
They-
of the blue?
They contacted me out of the blue. I think they were just looking for just projects in general.
Wow, get them to come back.
I would love to.
That's exciting.
And
Hire these kids now.
And there were some of these people, like they went with the engineering profession, like what they were focused on. So the ones who were doing the trails, they were environmentally focused.
Mhm.
The ones who were doing the roads, their focus was on roads and so on. So
Excellent.
So-
Oh,
that's
it's really neat.
so who knows? Maybe we'll get some students next year who are more environmentally focused, and you might have a huge trail idea ready. And I mean, I'd one day like to go from Pocket Park to Riverwalk, and they can be involved with that.
Yeah.
Like some years ago with the Conservation Commission, we talked about the Maine Conservation Corps and how you actually have to hire them to some degree. Usually it's a pittance, it's not usually that much. you have to supply all materials. But oftentimes, if it's a big enough, it's gotta be a big enough project. We talked about it for Quarry Hill at one time.
Yeah.
Is to really doing some recreational planning as to what we could do at Quarry Hill and really making some of these trails much more snowshoe and much more accessible in many ways. And that's where a plan like this, you might be able to take to the Maine Conservation Corps and then work these things together where they take the plan and these are the workers and you make something happen. So it's all very exciting to me.
Well, I mean, I certainly can talk more about the future plans with what'll happen with these. And
Yeah, let us know.
again, they might call me in June and say, we have some more students looking for work, and I'll come back here. But I don't want to take up everyone's time on this.
Oh, it's,
Oh, that's exciting. We'd love to hear about
it's
this.
exciting though. Yeah, if they come back in June, please.
Okay, well, I guess if you could print some of these these flyers, and we can talk about where to distribute them. We can, Leslie can work more on the trails, the social media, virtual Earth Day. I can put together a press release for that. And talk about dates for Dutch Neck and follow with the cleanup. I think that covers all the things on our agenda.
There we go.
So I think our next meeting will be held on May 4th at 5:15 in this town office. And we are now adjourned.